Denis Villeneuve has finally brought his complete vision to life in his adaptation of Frank Herbert's beloved sci-fi masterpiece, Dune. The conclusion of Dune Part 2 took a surprising turn for many by strongly hinting at a potential third film. However, many book fans harbor mixed feelings about the prospect of a third installment, given a few of the significant deviations from the source material in Dune Part 2, which are likely to influence the upcoming adaptation of Dune Messiah. In this video, I'd like to explore several key changes that could alter the trajectory of the story in Dune 3 and speculate on how these alterations might be reconciled with the original source material. Spoiler warning if you are unfamiliar with Dune or Dune Messiah. What Villeneuve has touted as his biggest deviation from the source material are the changes he made to the character of Chani, which holds the potential of greatly impacting the future of the Dune saga as presented in Villeneuve's next film. In the books, Chani is a Fremen warrior, but she is also deeply spiritual. As a lower-ranking priestess, a Sayidina, she takes part in several sacred rites in the novel, including the Reverend Mother's Water of Life ceremony. In the film, this aspect of her character is stripped away as she scornfully derides the Fremen's prophecies and is dismissive of the ceremony that ensures the preservation of her people's ancestral knowledge. While some northern Fremen adhere to the Mahdi prophecy, which dictates that the savior must be Fremen, Chani holds no such beliefs. Instead, she solely trusts in the power of her people to free themselves from their oppressors. Further than being non-religious, she also inexplicably believes that the messianic legends were fabricated by the Bene Gesserit. Villeneuve stated that this particular alteration was made so that general audiences could quickly come to understand the change happening within Paul Atreides as he begins down the path of leveraging the Fremen's implanted myths and legends. These changes have some of the biggest potential ramifications going forward as it pertains to Dune Messiah. The ending shot of Dune Part 2 has been particularly controversial when it comes to the implications for the continuing story involving Chani. In the context of the film, it appeared to many as though Chani is a scorned lover, angered by Paul's intention to marry Irulan and how he manipulated her people. Chani leaves the scene of Paul's victory to return to the desert, and the fate of their relationship is left open. In the novel, however, it is made abundantly clear to Chani that Paul's marriage to Princess Irulan is purely political, and that Irulan will not even receive an affectionate glance from Paul. Thus, she is reassured that Irulan will be wife in title only, while Chani remains at Paul's side as his one and only love. In fact, many feel that their love story is one of the few bright spots of the Dune saga. Chani is a grounding force for Paul, his tether to humanity in the chaos of prescience. Many fans of the book are optimistic that this change will be rectified in the next film, and they hope that Paul and Chani will reunite. However, it's evident that screenwriters Denis Villeneuve and Jon Spaihts are not fond of Chani's character as originally written. Therefore, I'm left feeling concerned that these changes to Chani have laid the groundwork for increasingly larger deviations from the source material moving forward. Regardless of whether Paul and Chani ultimately reconcile or stay separated, the next film must address Chani's opposition to Paul's actions, which is a story element that doesn't exist in the book. And in either case, in order for the story to continue past Messiah, Chani must bear Paul's twin children. There is a crucial line of dialogue in Dune Part 2 that hints toward reconciliation, where Paul expresses confidence that Chani will return and come to understand his decisions. However, given the manner in which Chani has been portrayed in this adaptation, it's hard for many to envision how this might happen in a believable way. Another significant change from the source material that could affect the events of Dune 3 is the condensing of the timeline in the latter half of the novel from a few years to a few months in the film. This decision alone influenced several major plot points that further diverted from the novel. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Denis Villeneuve explained that the reason behind this change was to increase tension and create more momentum in the story by putting more pressure on Paul Atreides. Of all the characters affected by this time compression, perhaps none were affected more than Lady Jessica and her daughter Alia. Their character arcs appeared to be fused together, with Jessica taking on the more strange, abomination-like role after becoming a Fremen Reverend Mother. By transforming the water of life and being given centuries of knowledge and memories from all the wild Fremen Reverend Mothers before her, Jessica was changed by the deadly ritual, becoming seemingly influenced or even possessed by the other memories. In regards to the changes to Alia, a large portion of her character arc is missing from Dune Part 2. In the book, it is Alia that becomes the Strange One, the Abomination. While the film depicts her being awakened to consciousness in the womb, the exact consequences for this are never truly explored. In the novel, she demonstrates knowledge no child should possess while speaking and holding herself as an adult. As a result, she is seen as a freak among the Fremen. While Alia has the bearing of a child, the truth is that she never was one. Never having developed a strong sense of self and individuality before being subjected to the Water of Life ritual, she is predisposed to becoming possessed by the other memory. This is called abomination, a state of being that is forbidden among the Bene Gesserit, punishable by death. At the climax of the novel, Alia is kidnapped by the Emperor Sardaukar, and with the humble appearance of a toddler, she proudly taunts the imposing figures around her, including the Emperor, the Baron Harkonnen, and the Reverend Mother Mohiam. It is by her hand and the Atreides Gamjabar that the Baron meets his end. After the Battle of Arrakeen, Alia did what all Fremen children do, dispatching of the enemy wounded and marking their bodies for water recovery. Thus was born the legend of Saint Alia of the Knife. And yet, this origin for Alia did not take place in Villeneuve's Dune, which is a possible motivation to keep Lady Jessica on Arrakis for Dune 3. This would allow for a further establishment of the relationship between Jessica and Alia, a time for Jessica to come to terms with the consequences of her actions that led to her daughter's tragic circumstances, and time for Alia to live up to her namesake. However, with Villeneuve's streamlined storytelling style, it's also quite possible that Jessica's time in his adaptation was concluded in Part 2, and that viewers will encounter a version of Alia lacking much of this depth and backstory. Another potential hurdle in depicting Alia's character in Dune 3 concerns her age. Villeneuve has confirmed that Anya Taylor-Joy will continue portraying the adult version of Alia, expressing his excitement to work with her in the upcoming film. However, Dune Messiah unfolds 12 years after the events of Dune. Given that the actress was born in 1996, it seems likely that Dune 3 will not maintain this time frame and attempt to depict her as a teenager. One option that would be a deviation from the source material would be to convey that Alia proceeded to grow rapidly to adulthood between films. This would not necessarily be out of the realm of possibility for Bene Gesserit who can control their own aging process. Alternatively, the time jump could be significantly reduced, presenting Alia as an infant, with Taylor-Joy reprising her role as the adult Alia in Visions. However, this would drastically change the story of her character in Messiah. Considering the 4-month age gap between Anya and Timothy, a non-Vision portrayal of adult Alia would necessitate some sort of otherworldly explanation or an aging up of the other central characters from Dune Part 2 to align with the time jump. Perhaps the easiest way to get over this hurdle would be to establish that the characters of Dune don't look much older due to the effects of spice melange. After all, Herbert's books establish the power of spice to keep its user looking younger than their actual age. At the end of the day, among the challenges facing Alia's depiction in Dune 3, many fans feel that Villeneuve will need to successfully conquer the task of compensating for the essential aspects of Alia's character that were established in the first novel, which were absent in Dune Part 2. One major factor that was evident in both Dune Parts 1 and 2 that could significantly impact the structure of Dune 3 is Villeneuve's simplified storytelling approach. Book fans quickly noticed numerous subplots and world-building elements that were omitted from Villeneuve's adaptation of the first book. For example, in Dune Part 2, the absence of the Spacing Guild is a notable omission, particularly during the climax where they play a crucial role in Paul's ascent to power in the novel. Villeneuve's decision to omit the story contributions from factions like the Spacing Guild and the Mentats is attributed to his focus on the Bene Gesserit. This streamlined style and focus on the sisterhood is likely to continue in adapting the complexity of Dune Messiah. However, this choice raises concerns about potential exclusions or limitations of other key players in the intricate conspiracy that is central to Dune Messiah, specifically the involvement of the Spacing Guild and the Bene Tleilax. Although Villeneuve has mostly refrained from depicting the role of outside factions in the events of the saga so far, many believe that their inclusion is crucial to faithfully adapting Frank Herbert's next novel. While the Bene Gesserit are important, their impact is most significant when all political elements are in play. Ultimately, both fans and skeptics will have to wait and see how Villeneuve navigates these challenges in attempting to depict the events of Dune Messiah. Many fans hold out hope that Villeneuve can skillfully place these altered characters within the narrative framework and that he can maneuver the story to deliver another captivating cinematic experience that remains loyal to the core events and themes of Frank Herbert's work. But I'm curious to know what you think of the ways in which Villeneuve's adaptation has influenced what we can expect to see in Dune 3. Are there any characters or story elements of Dune Messiah that you feel need to be preserved in order to capture the spirit of Herbert's book? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to show your appreciation, you can check out my Patreon page, where members get access to exclusive content and perks. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.